Hi, this is Sheila with Stampin' Wishes and welcome to my studio. Today we're going to make an unusual type card. I hadn't made this one in a long time. It's kind of a flip-flop and we are going to use some magnets to let the flaps kind of go down and everything. And let me kind of go through with you first some of the tools that I used. I did use the Designer Series paper. This was the sample pack that came when I ordered the little mini trimmer, and this little mini trimmer comes in so handy when I'm working on small pieces, or let's say I'm going to do a greeting or something along those lines. So if one way that you can get this right now is if you're not a demonstrator and you would like to sign up, for $99, you're going to get $125 worth of product, plus you're going to get this as an extra gift. So, I mean, it's a great time through celebration to be signing up and becoming a demonstrator. Even if you're a hobbyist, you don't want to make a business out of it, it's a great discount for you. So anyway, if you're interested and would like to contact me, I'd love to talk more with you about it. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so what I used for cutting a lot of my pieces were these. I used these two right here, okay? And then on the rectangle, and this is our new Stitch So Sweetly dies. Love them, love the scallops, love all the different designs that we've got in there. And you can get that in our new mini catalog. And I also used my rectangle stitch dies because I wanted to get, let me kind of move this off here, this kind of layering design. And so I ended up using the 3 sizes here for my lovely lipstick, Whisper White, and then this was one of the paper samples from that paper pack that I got, which is also found in your Celebration catalog. So I used those 3 on that, and then of course I'm obsessed with this set here. This is a little ladybug. You can earn this particular one by hosting a $300 workshop or a show at your home, and you can earn this free. And this is one of the, I went ahead and colored it and cut it and have it ready for placing on there, but this is one. And then I used this little ladybug right there. And then I wanted to use the happy birthday, so I used that along with my smallest rectangle shape, which was this one, to cut out the greeting on it. Okay, so now we're going to spend most of our time. I'm going to give you the measurements. They'll also be coming up on the screen, so don't feel like you've got to hurry and rush through this because everything will be there for you. Okay. All right, so starting off with the, let's go that way. Let's go the bottom layer here. And we're going to use the Whisper White cardstock, and it is the thick Whisper White, and I cut it at our normal 4 1/4 by 5.5 base card. And then, as I mentioned, I brought in with lovely lipstick, I brought in the largest rectangle die. The next one under it was for the Whisper White, and these will layer on that. And then the DSP, that one was our 3rd size, which layers them down like so. Now what I'm going to do is adhere right now these pieces together because we don't want to adhere it to the base yet until we're ready to put our different little flaps on, okay? So let's go ahead and adhere this. And if you want the measurements, if you're not going to be using your dies and you wanted to just do cutting, this one measured 3 3/4 by 5 1/8. This one measured 3 3/8 by 4 3/4. And then the DSP measured 3 by 4 1/4. Okay, so if you're not going to use your dies, that's your measurements that you would be using on it. Okay, let's center this in get it as balanced as we can. Okay, and we did have, oh, I'll get to that in a minute when we layer that one. If you have a directional design, you'll want to be careful on how you place it because I'll show you a sample of my first one I did and I wasn't paying attention, so I kind of had to reverse my flaps because it was directional and I couldn't just flip it over after I'd put it on. So, and I'll show that to you. Okay, let's set this aside for a second. Now, one of our flaps here that we have, this measures 4 3/8 by 4 3/8, and then I scored it at 1 inch. Okay, the next layer, and this is the Flirty, and the next layer, this is Flirty Flamingo, and it's 3 by 4 is the measurement of that particular die. So if you're not using dies, again, you can use your measurements and just cut them out like they are. This particular small one, it was, let's see, 3 by 4 1/4, and that one's going to go in there. Okay, and so this is going to form one of our flaps. What'll happen once I layer all these pieces together, this you're going to take and come in here and center it the best you can. You'll have a little bit of the coloring coming out, and then when it's all said and done, we will take and adhere it to the base here. Okay, but in doing this, we're going to want a piece that would come in underneath this piece, which will be right here. And when we go to adhere it, we'll make sure that it goes right up underneath it. That way, when this flap opens, you'll have a greeting that comes from this direction, okay? And I'm going to go ahead while I've got this out, if I can find my eraser. Let's see if this eraser works. Yeah. Oop, nope, that doesn't work very well. Here's one of my good erasers. Okay, let's go ahead and erase this real quick, and that way when we go to lay this down, we won't have the measurements showing on it, okay? So let's go ahead and lay our pieces here. And we're gonna just remember, when you're using this liquid glue, less is best, because if you over glue it, not only will your paper be wet and will buckle on you, but you'll start getting these little lines underneath here, and you don't want that to happen. Okay, and then let's bring our DSP into it. I just love these new dies. And they cut like butter. I tell you what, I'm just always amazed when I cut one of the dies through the Big Shot, how smoothly, and I just do it one time and it pops out and is just beautiful. Okay, so let's go ahead, and what we can do is line this up, because I'm going to attach it to the back of this before we adhere it here. And I want to make sure that I'm even on this end and this end here. And then I'm going to use a little bit of our tear and tape on the back to adhere it there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that done. And because this will be adhered, I'm not going to worry about the measurements on the back of this right now. So let's go ahead and pull off our tear and tape. Make sure that we're still balanced before I close it. It's going to go this way. So let's make sure that I've got it balanced between the two. Okay. So we folded that. So now this is the piece that's going to come up underneath here. And that's why, you know, really on this particular one, I probably could have gone without this particular layer here. I just thought it was pretty when it was open because of this piece coming down. But I was thinking what we may want to do, which I kind of like the idea of it, is maybe we make this the greeting side and not this. And that way you have that pretty, you can do your greeting to the person that you're sending it to on that side, and leave this side here for just decorative purposes. When it opens up, I think it looks pretty as a offsetting to it. So I think we're going to leave this out on this one, and I'll show you on the other one why I had to leave that particular one in from the layering that I did. But anyway, I think we'll do that. I'm going to go ahead and burnish this a little bit here. Okay, so then next we want to layer these pieces. So we're going to go ahead and go in here. Now these pieces, lovely lipstick, that one particular one measures 1 7/8 by, no, I'm sorry, I'm going the opposite direction. It measures 1 1/4 by 3 1/4, and we score it at 1 inch, just like we did on that other flap. This particular piece measures 1 inch by 2 1/8, and that is the size of that particular die. And then this particular one measures 3/4 inch by 1 7/8. So again, if you don't want to use, if you don't have dies and you want to make this card, those would be the measurements you would cut it out otherwise. Okay. So let's go ahead and put this here and kind of center it. I got some glue on me. I'm trying to keep it off the card. Okay, so then this particular one is going to go this way, and one of the things that I didn't do that I should have done, which I can still do it here, and what I'll do, that's what I'll do, is I will use this piece here, but I'm going to use it here so I can put my magnet on that other side. I had forgotten to put my magnet on before I layered my pieces, so we can fix that real quick like. Okay, so I get these magnets from Amazon, and they're real nice and thin. They're great for card making, or if you do scrapbooking, any of that kind of thing. So we're going to go ahead and get us a glue dot to adhere it on there, just to keep it where we need it to be. And before I do that, I do need to see how far over this will go, so I kind of have an idea of where I might want to put my magnet, and that looks like the best place for it. And then we'll come in here and adhere this down, and that way it hides the magnet, still gives us a place to write a greeting on it. And we're going to go ahead and use the liquid adhesive on it as well. It'll be just, in fact, what we may do, I think, is going to use a little bit of, you want this, because of the magnet being there, it gives a little bit of bulk, and you want to make sure your edges are down nice and flat. So I'm going to bring my tear and tape and bring it around the edges. And then we'll put a little bit of liquid adhesive. Let me make sure I'm still in the camera here. We'll put a little bit of the liquid adhesive in the center there. Okay. And if I didn't mention it, this one was 4 1/8 by 3 1/4 inch. Okay. And one more. All right, so let's go ahead and put us a little liquid glue here. And because I'm using tear and tape, I have to kind of be careful not to lay it down before I'm ready for it to adhere. And that looks good there, so we're going to lay it right there. There we go. And that way we get a nice flush finish. Now for adhering this one on, what I'm going to do is probably when I go to put this here, I will put the magnet between these two pieces, so I have to make sure that I'll be able to get it through. Let's check it and see if we can, if the magnets are going to be strong enough to go. Yep, it found it, so it does look like it's strong enough to do that. So what we're going to do is go ahead and leave that there for a second, and I'm going to bring in my tear and tape here. Let me bring this up there. And like that off. Bring this back around. Okay, and so we want to again put, oh, there it is. Let's bring it out of here. We'll put this here. All right. And I plan on, yep, that looks like a good place for it. Okay, so it is adhered there, but I also want to put me a couple of dimensions. Or do I? Right in that area there. So let's get us a couple here. I don't want them to go over my flaps. I have to kind of be careful with where I place them. And probably one about here should work. Okay, let's take the backing off. Alright, so again I have to let my magnet find it. And it depends on how I want it. And I do want my flower at an angle, so this looks good to me. And so now, when I lift it, it'll close, keep the card closed. Okay, one of the things I did after I cut that out, because of course when you're coloring, you get that easing in the back of your cardstock. And so the colors I used was, I like to use the light cherry cobbler for my little ladybug, and I used my black for the black in the stripes there. I used my 2 mangoes for blending the flower here and blending the flower there. And then I used Granny Apple Green for the leaf work. Okay, so now we have to make a decision where we want to place the ladybug and where we want to place the greeting. And I think the greeting would be great there. It could be at an angle. Let's take a look and see how we like it. Or maybe even the ladybug could be, do I want it on the flower? Or if I'd left enough room, I probably could have had this come off, and that would have been cute. But I think what I'm going to do is put the ladybug there, and I'll use dimensionals to add her on, again, just to the flower here, because she'll be lifting up with the other. I don't want to adhere her there, otherwise it stops my flap for opening up. Okay, so when I adhere her, I have to be careful that I don't go over and adhere there. So I have to decide what works best on this particular one, and I really think she would here instead of over there, because I'm able to put dimensionals up underneath here and she'll be sturdy. Again, I cut 2 of these out of the thick cardstock just so I would have a sturdiness underneath. And I think we're going to do this. Let's see, right here. And bring this up. And then we should be able to put her right about there. Perfect. Okay. And this one we're going to go ahead and do dimensional also. Let's see if we can use the big ones. We can. If not, we would have gotten our minis out. Okay, and looks like I'm running out, so we'll use scissors here. We'll use a little bit. Oh, nope, there's one more. When you know it. Had one more left. Okay. But always keep these handy, because those work great in unusual shapes or regular shapes. You can just keep cutting around the edges and use it until you don't have any more. So don't waste any of them. Okay, let's get these out of the way and put our happy birthday here. Beautiful. Okay, so one of the last things I'd like to do with her is to give her a little bit of bling. So I thought we would use some of the Christmas rhinestones and use the red ones right here on her antenna, just to kind of bring the red out and give her some bling. Isn't that pretty? Let's bring it a little bit over there. There we go. And for the center of the flower, we could actually use one of these golds. Let's see if it's too big. No, I don't think so at all. I think that really adds to it. Okay, so here's our card, and as I mentioned, the flap opens this way and this way, and here's where you would put your greeting here. And if you wanted to, you could actually put another smaller, maybe greeting on this side and then write your note on this side. So either way would work great. And there they close up. And this is the first one I made. I thought was real cute, using our new Valentine suite. And then I used these from, oh, which was it? I believe it was Flourish Thinlet dies had these leaves. And again, I cut out several of them in the thick and glued them together so they were a little bit sturdier. And this one opens opposite, because this is what I was talking about. I had put this on this side without realizing I wanted it on the other side, but it worked out. And this is where I put for the greeting on this one here. And again, you can write on that side as well. Okay, so here are 2 cards. A lot of fun, quick and easy. So until next time, God bless and happy creating.